My name's Abiba Coulibaly and I am a 27-year-old Londoner. I was really, really interested in becoming a film curator. Like I wanted to do it for years, and when I graduated there were just no opportunities in film curation. There were very few. I think my last resort was considering doing a MA in film curation, and I was like, I shouldn't have to pay like £9,000 just to get like my foot in an industry. So I was like, the kind of only way that I can get the experience to then hopefully get a job in this is to start my own space to show films. And the other main inspiration was just that I grew up in South London between Streatham and Brixton. I moved to Brixton when I was 17, and obviously it's an area that's undergone like a crazy amount of gentrification, and I think it's something that people try and look at the pros of gentrification and they'll be like, oh, like there's more culture, there's more nightlife, and it's like there might be more culture or more like places to go out and stuff, but who can actually afford to go to these places? There's like one cinema that operates in Brixton at the moment. They don't pay their staff living wage, yet it's £17.50 to go and watch a film at like the evening or the weekend. When I was growing up, going to the cinema was like a fiver or something, and I thought it's all very well if there are like more things to do and like Time Out's writing articles about like what's hot in Brixton, but if the people who have lived there for the longest time can't afford to go to these things, what's the point? There's lots of buzzwords like accessibility which people throw around, and I know even myself I've like been guilty of being like, oh, this is something that I want us to be, so I'll be using the word, but I'm reminded at times that I'm not always making things as accessible as possible. I'm interested in accessibility, and I recognise that the kind of quickest way to address the problems of accessibility was like financial accessibility. So I wanted nobody to be feel they couldn't come and watch films just because of price or like their income. But that's not enough at all. And what I'm really interested in is the like non-financial aspects of accessibility, because for example, like we're in South London Gallery, it's free. The British Museum is free. But just because a space is free doesn't mean that everybody's going to engage. There's a lot that's kind of less tangible, and how spaces make you feel, if they're intimidating, if they're elitist, like what makes people feel that they can and can't enter a space, even if it is free or even if they're allowed to choose how much they pay to enter it. Spatiality and like which location we use has a lot to do with it. So we first started out doing screenings in Brixton Market, which is now like Brixton Village. And I thought that I loved that space because we had like a empty shop front that like there was just like a massive window, so everybody walking by could just see in. And I thought it was nice that rather than having to like go through like a curtain or revolving doors or something, you could kind of get a feel for what was going on inside from the outside if you weren't like feeling bold enough or whatever reason. At first the community was definitely my friends, my peers, like people with a similar like background, similar interests to me. I wanted it to go further, you know, obviously I was like happy to see people my age and who had similar interests coming, but I was like really looking at the wider context and like the things I was referring to earlier with like gentrification and culture just not being super accessible, or like cultural activities not being super accessible in the area. I was like, this needs to go. It felt like I was getting like working class people from migrant backgrounds, but similar to me in that they were already like quite clued into the arts and like would be going to these kind of events anywhere if they weren't like happening in Brixton. And I was like, I actually want to go beyond that, and that's not something I was able to strategize. It just happened when we started showing our films like outdoors in Atlantic Road, which is like, we were showing it kind of where the train station is in Brixton, so you get all this footfall of like people coming out of the train station, but also it's just a super busy road with like mums, school children, people with not a lot to do like every kind of literally like every kind of person. And the screen was like visible for all the pedestrians as well, so lots of people would just stop and stare. The space was like also open when we weren't using it, so people who didn't have housing were like sleeping there, or just like people would like use it just to like sit and have a meal or like just have some shelter. And because I guess the cinema space wasn't like closed off or ticketed, and literally anybody could come, and it was in a part of London that has such a breadth of people, then suddenly I felt like we widened what community was, and we were getting like a genuine cross section of people who live in Brixton.
What challenges do you face in establishing and running a pop-up cinema compared to a traditional movie theatre?
I think so much of it is to do with like funding and financial sustainability. The pay what you can model doesn't work. Like I'm making it work and it looks like it's working, but it doesn't work. I'm constantly having to apply for funds and funding, and then I never know how far forward I can plan in advance if I don't have that funding. And there's like trying to keep the audience happy and also trying to keep the artists and the filmmakers happy. If it's pay what you can, we make very little per screening. And with the money that's made, not only do I need to like hire the venue, I need to pay for the film licenses if I want to do things the like legal way, which I always try to. And filmmakers obviously deserve to be remunerated fairly for their work. I guess like I'm mostly audience focused, but I never want to let that override the fact that I do believe artists need to be paid fairly. And it's a lot of like voluntary work, free labour. I enjoy it so much, which is why I keep doing it. It's a lot of hard work and can also be really stressful at times.
Do you ever feel like you've run out of ideas to curate? Like, is there ever never? Wow.
If anything, it's oh my god, I want to do too many things. And like, because I only wanted to do like one screening a month, and now we're doing like 4 or 5, and it's like trying to contain. And I think if ever like I start to feel a little bit tired, I know there's people around me who are like eager to show something.
I think we really started out of university. We were feeling very down and we felt very like out into the world, like dropped into the industry, and it really wasn't what we thought it was gonna be.
And we were kind of like, what are we doing? So I think it came out of that where we were like, I think we live together, we're like interested in the similar things.
We wanted to have an output, a creative output that's like fun and quick.
So we like self-publish things that we are like really into, but also now we like take on commissions to like help people put together like a publication when they have an idea but might not know exactly how. I think when it comes to self-publishing, we both work like independently sometimes, where like I'm making something I'm interested in and then I'll go to Son and be like, what do you think of this? Does this paper look good? Is this for the right thing?
Sometimes it is something we work on together, like the program notes, and our work is always very referential. We always like to treat and consider the design through the text that we're serving, thinking about the era or like the piece of media and what other existing printed matters has already been done.
It usually is very specific. Like for something we did for Brixton Community Cinema, it was like a airplane timetable, which is like what they used to publish before like the internet.
We always look at printed matter everywhere, and it's really nice to have an object like that. And we do think of the printed matter as objects, and we try to mimic objects in the film and reference objects in the film.
We have fun with how rich referencing films is. There's like small nuggets in a film, and we want like people to maybe like be watching it and then realize like, oh, this is like from there, which is like fun for us, but also maybe hopefully fun for people who interact with it.
Continuing the Easter eggs like outside of the film and thinking about world building, really. You say like it's really nice to see like how much considerations there are, but I think we're a bit of a nerd about it. We're kind of just like, what if we had this little star and no one would get it except us?
Like building that whole thing is just like, to accompany the film is just very, very rewarding for sure. And I think because Abiba is obviously obsessed with films, I think that like our obsession with print and her with film like gels really well.
I think it also facilitates, when you walk out of a cinema with your friends, you're like, oh my god, what do you think?
Yeah.
Like, but what do you think about this? But like having that print and people can talk with their friends about it, but also just like reading the essay.
We run different types of, I guess, print-related workshops so far. So we've done one for Brixton Community Cinema during the summer. We did like a printmaking workshop. Then we did one for the BFI.
We want to do more. I think we always try to keep it free. Sometimes we do have to, work with institutions to do that. But whenever it's just M-Dash's workshops, we want to do it for free. I think we've just felt very held by the community and supported by it. We wouldn't be able to do what M-Dash has done without the people in Southeast London that we engage with. And so we hope through how we operate, we can be transparent and encourage also other people to just start, if you wish, just start printing some stuff.
Yeah, I think it's like all the Lewisham libraries and also like the Feminist Library in Peckham and places like that have like really contributed to like who M-Dash is, and we're like really grateful for that and hope to be like intentional in like where we run workshops and have launches to like in those sites.
It sounds like there's so much that you have to agree on, whether it's the typography or whether it's the style of the specific thing that you're referencing before it's even made. I was just wondering, do you ever like disagree on like little steps that really impact obviously the overall make of the zine?
I think we definitely have different approaches sometimes, and I think we just have enough trust. I don't know anyone else who I work with that I can like completely trust, because like we have the same kind of ideals, even though different references sometimes. And it's just like I will say what I think, and Rue can be like, yeah, but I was considering this, and then like that just also lets me know what you were thinking.
I think with that trust allows you to like have those disagreements, otherwise it wouldn't really be like healthy. Like I couldn't really do that work maybe because I like, oh, I can't. So I think that's like important, that we're not afraid to just be like, no, you know.
And I feel like with print there's no one way of doing things anyway. I feel like I think for Gossip Girl we were also trying to like come up with what format do we want. Would it be like the iconic blog page? But I think that was very far away from printed matter. It was really hard to replicate that screen aesthetic, you know. And you know, these socialites are like featured in tabloids, and the New York Spectator is also canon. You know, it is also a blog, but we try to imagine what if it's a tabloid.
And we were talking about like how they like get like collage things by using like, you know, actual texture as if like they're doing like investigation on like a, so I think that's like weirdly a lot of storytelling.
But this is actually like one of my favourite films, and when I played it, I didn't just play it once, I like put it on loop because I think it's such an incredible film that I wanted as many people as possible to come. But it all centres around this girl who's selling a newspaper, Le Soleil, being able to have our own copy of Le Soleil with this like amazing essay that we commissioned was really special, because the whole film is like her like trying to get them out into the public, and we were also able to do that but in a completely different like location and time.
Yeah, so this one we did the program notes for the summer program in BCC, and it's really contextualized with the site of the screening, a view from the arches, and how there was an art collective there. This was literally where we had the screening, just underneath the staircase, and at the same time, coincidentally, there was a Brixton art gallery kind of retrospective, and we wanted to like tie it in together. So we decided to kind of like reference that art collective that was doing work in Brixton at that time, and we connected that to our printmaking workshop that we did for Brixton Community Cinema as well, looking through their archives and doing monoprinting, collaging through monoprinting.
This is probably like my second favourite actually. This one is so good. It's this amazing like futuristic political commentary on the state of like, I guess like elderly state politicians in Africa, told through the lives of two sex workers in an unnamed country, but we think it's Cameroon. Director's from Francophone Africa, he is Cameroonian, and he has an incredible body of work, but a lot of the texts on it are in French, and I thought it would be cool to, my background is also Francophone African, and I just thought it would be cool to have some text available for the Anglophone world to learn more about this incredible filmmaker.